Thank you for tuning in to Andronetalks Radio, gathering as one in our sovereign truth from a galactic perspective, exploring our world with new ideas, knowledge, and a promise of a better future. Galactic discussions for galactic-minded people. Andronetalks.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Andronetalks News. We have a lot of things that are happening today. This has been a very, very crazy day. A lot of information came out in the news, and I thought I really didn't want to ignore it. I know that a lot of people have different opinions and theories about what's going on, and this is sort of the breaking down of our reality in a sense, and not necessarily that we're falling apart in particles, but that we are kind of our system, the infrastructure of what was a tight-knit system that was like a running machine, and setting things up in specific ways. And some of those systems are breaking down now. And so what has been is not what will be. And you know, we're also experiencing a point where information's coming out about different people, different places and things. And so, yes, everyone knows about Facebook and Twitter and WhatsApp and Instagram going down today, but I felt like I wanted to start off with these Pandora Papers. And this is something that's focused on what some of the elite have been able to do and amass the wealth that they have, and how they've been able to have these tax shelters and all the things that the average person, middle class, has not been able to access. And which I think, well, they say, you know, that the money doesn't go back into the system. It's not staying in each nation where the people are amassing wealth, because they're going to offshores to different locations. And I still feel that people should have the right to be able to make the amount of money that they want and not be limited in how much they can make, or, you know, if they are discouraged from working hard because they won't make any more. And I'm not of that mindset at all. I do believe that people should be able to scale whatever height that they want, and that is a personal dream. I think that's part of manifestation. And no one should put a ceiling on anyone in any area, whether that is relationships, family, friends, community, and, you know, how they want to live. And so we're finding a lot of restrictions for just basic things, and yet freedoms for things that majority of the public really doesn't have an interest in. And those are areas of, you know, specific populations that are, you know, finding their wings, or finding their place in our society, but are not necessarily representing the masses. And so the masses are being cut out. The person that wants the average dream of, you know, a picket fence, a house, and, you know, children or whatever, are being ignored, being shut down. And those who want alternative lifestyles and other things that, you know, majority people are not interested in, are, you know, experience their freedoms. Now, I'm not saying that people shouldn't have their freedoms. I'm saying you shouldn't have any restrictions on a larger group of people, because, you know, making way for all of the others that want to have their space. So it should be across the board. Everyone should have whatever dream that they want to embrace. That is a universal right. And if anyone says otherwise, they are wrong. That's the bottom line. So with that perspective, I'm not here to just point fingers at the elite or these people that have money and what they've done with their money. I think that we all should have everything, the abundance that we need. But here's some of the different nations, and here's like $100 million. And of course, yeah, if some of the nations are struggling because the leadership is taking the money and sending it elsewhere, that's a part of an obvious display of lack of consciousness. So here's was it Kenya, and talking just a lot of exposure of where the money's going. Here is Russia and the secret assets in Monaco. I guess there was a leak much of in the media in Kenya with where the family of the president revealed to have secretly owned a network of offshore companies for decades. I mean, this is kind of a no-brainer. We already knew about it. Just, I guess we didn't know the specifics. Here's the Ukraine. And President Zelensky transferred his stake on a secret offshore company just before he won the 2019 election. The Czech Republic. Andrej Babis, who is facing an election later this week, failed to declare an offshore investment company used to purchase 2 villas for $12 million in the south of France. I guess they're not sharing the information with what they own. Here's Pakistan and secretly owning companies and trusts holding millions of dollars. And of course, those that have a lot of money. So this is the Khan family. Of course, those that have a lot of money are able to be very persuasive regarding having the funding for elections and support for whatever agenda or interests that they have in their nation or throughout the world. Here's Chile. Accused of selling copper and iron mine in an environmentally sensitive area to a childhood friend, as detailed in the Spain's El País newspaper. 2010, 9 months after Mr. Piñera took office, his family sold their shares to the mine for $152 million. And part of the deal took place in the British Virgin Islands. Here is Cyprus. Nikos Anastasiadis appears to have provided fake owners to disguise the real owner of a series of offshore companies, a former Russian politician who had been accused of embezzlement. Azerbaijan, who bought 17 properties, including £33 million office block in London for the president's 11-year-old son. The UK, former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair and his wife Sherry bought a London property in an offshore deal that saved them £312,000 in stamp duty. And you can go through all of this information. So that the Pandora Papers is a leak of almost 12 million documents and files exposing the secret wealth and dealings of world leaders, politicians, and billionaires. The data was obtained by the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists in Washington, D.C., which has led one of the biggest ever global investigations. So here's something to think about. And as I said, I am not giving a pass to the elite at all, but there are levels of privacy, and I think that this is a really big topic, that everyone's personal business is being kind of exposed, investigated, even people that don't have a whole lot, through social media. They're gathering data, they're gathering behaviors, interactions, and things that you like, dislike. This AI control system is showing up everywhere. And so, yes, I'm looking at this as a problem, because I don't think it's fair that, say, tax money or the extra benefits of different nations have made some people extraordinarily wealthy. For example, we know there is a set amount of set income that you get when you're the president of the United States, and yet a few of you see that many of them turn around and become these billionaires, millionaires, billionaires, and it's not from the income of supposed income of serving office, but the additional benefits. And at what expense? I mean, who is paying for that, and what else is going on? So I agree with that, but also at the same time, keep in mind, as the elite are feeling that their whole life is being exposed, they're exposing us as well. So there should be levels of privacy. People used to put their money in their mattress, in the walls of their home, in the ground somewhere. And as our world is ever changing and it's going to digital, I don't know if that were the nest egg, or where you're gonna put your savings and who you can trust, and any type of bank. Or there's always questions about the bank. Also stocks, whether you're going to get your returns. So when all of these things come up, which causes, kind of that anxiety in the back of your mind, remember, highest intention. Remember that our abundance comes from the universe, and that's where we are to go for abundance, and that whatever they're trying to do here, we manifest the highest intention. Here is the secret wealth and dealings of the world exposed. The same thing, more information about the Pandora Papers. And here it is right here. Look at this. How big is the Pandora Papers leak? 14 sources, 11,903,676 files, 2.94 terabytes of data. How do the files break down? And there's all of the documents, the images, emails, lots and lots of information. How does Pandora compare with previous leaks? 2.5 million from 2013, 11.5 million, 2016, 2017, 13.54 million, in 2021, 11.9 million. It's interesting. And here is, all the different leaders. There's a Malibu mansion, King of Jordan. And we talked about that, no stamp duty for Tony Blair. And there we are. Interesting, Putin's mistress has 100 million, according to the Pandora Papers. There she is. Okay. So this is interesting. From Gizmodo, there was at 11:40 p.m. yesterday, 9 horrifying facts from Facebook whistleblowers' new 60 Minutes interview. Last week, Wall Street Journal published internal research from Facebook showing that the social media company knows precisely how toxic its own product is for people who use it. But tonight we learned how Journal obtained those documents. A whistleblower named Francis Haugen, who spoke with CBS News 60 Minutes about the ways Facebook is poisoning society. The 37-year-old whistleblower liberated tens of thousands of pages and documents from Facebook and even plans to testify to Congress at some point this week. Haugen has filed at least 8 complaints with the SEC, alleging that Facebook has lied to shareholders about its own product. Fundamentally, Haugen alleges that there is a key conflict between what's good for Facebook and what's good for society at large. And at the end of the day, things that are good for Facebook tend to be bad for the world we live in, according to Haugen. We've pulled out some of the most interesting tidbits from Sunday's interview that highlight this central point. Facebook's algorithm intentionally shows users things to make them angry. And I thought this part was really interesting. So what is their gain by getting people angry? Do they feel that people watch or listen more, or they get more engaged because they're angry? Or is there some kind of, we talk about the spiritual aspects of things. Are they looshing? Are they pulling energy and life force from people? Is this where we're losing our power? In scenarios like this where we're feeling enraged and people are feeling like they're posting things that there's double standards, and things that you would say shouldn't be there are there, and things that are violating children are allowed to be on there, and but yet we're not able to talk about other things that are being forced on our bodies. Here, Facebook is worse than most other social media companies. Whenever we talk about social media and the ways it's harmed society, a lot of big tech companies get lumped in together, whether it's Twitter or YouTube or Pinterest. But according to Haugen, Facebook is uniquely awful. I've seen a bunch of social networks, and it was substantially worse at Facebook than anything I'd seen before. Facebook dissolved its civic integrity unit after the 2020 election, before the January 6th Capitol insurrection. She worked at the so-called civic integrity unit of Facebook, in charge of combating political misinformation on the platform. So she's one of those people that many had objections to, when they said that this information is incorrect, a fact checker. But the social media companies seemed to think that they were in the clear after the US presidential election in November 2020, and that civic integrity should be shut down. They told us we're dissolving civic integrity. Like they basically said, oh good, we made it through the election. There wasn't riots. We can get rid of civic integrity now. Fast forward a couple months, we got insurrections, Haugen said. It's important to remember that Facebook isn't just destroying American democracy, it's chipping away at democratic institutions all around the world. It's conditioning. It's Pavlovian. It's telling people through behaviors what they can, what is good and what is not good. And even though you disagree with them, you start to pull back and start to submit because you know that there will be a repercussion to that. So they have been using social conditioning on us. Political parties in Europe ran negative ads because it was the only way to reach people on Facebook. So this is her fourth point. One of the documents Haugen smuggled out of the company shows that the political parties in Europe had to start running negative ads to get any engagement on Facebook. So negativity, she's saying, has been used. on multiple occasions in multiple ways in order to engage the public and get activity. We know if we don't take those positions, we won't win in the marketplace of social media. Here's point 5. Facebook only identifies a tiny fraction of hate and misinformation on the platform. So Facebook internal research shows that it identifies roughly 3 to 5% of hate on the platform and less than 1% of violence and incitement, according to one of the studies leaked by Hagen. And yet Facebook still considers itself to be the best in the world at identifying hate and incitement on social media. Facebook takes issue with characterization naturally. In fact, the company seems to think the real problem is the internet itself, at least according to a statement the company sent Gizmodo on Sunday night. If any research had identified an exact solution to these complex challenges, the tech industry, governments, and society would have solved them a long time ago. We have a strong track record of using our research as well as external research in close collaboration with experts and organizations to inform changes to our apps. On point number 6, Instagram is making kids miserable. The documents leaked by Hagen showed that 13.5% of teen girls say Instagram makes thoughts of suicide worse. 17% says it makes their eating disorders worse. What's super tragic is Facebook's own research says as these young women begin to consume this eating disorder content, they get more and more depressed. And it actually makes them use the app more. So they end up in the feedback cycle where they hate their bodies more and more, Hagen told 60 Minutes. Conditioning, manipulation, mind control at the expense of money, influencing our entire society. And we're not even aware of it. It's very, very easy to kind of blow past it until you start seeing the impact and actually start looking at the statistics. Here's point number 7. Employees at Facebook aren't necessarily evil. They just have perverse incentives. Hagen says that people who work at Facebook aren't bad people, which seems like the kind of thing someone who previously worked at Facebook might say. No one at Facebook is malevolent, but the incentives are misaligned, right? Hagen insists, like Facebook makes more money when you consume more content. People enjoy engaging with things that elicit an emotional reaction. And the more anger that they get exposed to, the more they interact and more they consume. And while it is easy to see why Hagen might believe no one at Facebook is malevolent, that's quite a bold claim at this point. Facebook's negative impact on society isn't exactly a secret here in the 2020s. And then she has empathy for Mark Zuckerberg. It doesn't really matter whether Zuckerberg set out to make a hateful platform. In reality, he set out to make a website for rating the hotness of women. But that's really neither here nor there. What matters is how the platform is being used and abused today. Here's her point number 9. Hagen believes she's covered by whistleblower laws, but we'll see. Hagen's lawyer, John Tai, who works with whistleblowers, we heard about how the law protects people who talk with the SEC, and the Dodd-Frank Act, passed over 10 years ago at this point, created an office of the whistleblower inside the SEC. And one of the provisions of the law says that no company can prohibit its employees from communicating with the SEC and share internal corporate documents with the SEC, Tai told 60 Minutes. And while Dodd-Frank hypothetically protects employees talking with this SEC, it doesn't necessarily protect people talking with journalists and taking thousands of pages of documents. So this might be a bit of a challenge for her. And if you feel like you want to send protection for someone that is willing to put herself out there, for revealing some of the interesting information that's just happened, and then support them, I guess. I feel that she has done a good job, and I'm grateful that this information came out. We knew that this type of thing was going on for a while, and for the sake of communication and sharing data, we pretty much tolerated quite a bit. I just, I know this is an annoying page here, and I couldn't get rid of these pop-ups, but here's a Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp go down worldwide for 4 hours and counting in a catastrophic outage, as experts suggest internal error is to blame, and staff are locked out of their offices. Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp went down at 11:50 a.m. EST, and Monday remain broken. Well, I believe it's started by now, but all went dark after a flurry of changes in the system that allow people to access its site on the internet. The damage believed may have been caused by an internal error rather than any malicious attack. It remains unfixed, with escalating damage on already outage is estimated to have cost $160 million. Facebook won't say what caused the outage or how long it will last, but experts say it will be a mammoth task bringing the networks back online. The outage has sparked panic among businesses that rely on the site and humor on the rival site Twitter, and there were initial reports of telecommunication networks were also down, but those who were driven by people being unable to use the apps on their mobile devices. So, all right, here's what I feel. When Frances Haugen went to expose this information on 60 Minutes, they were scrambling to hide a lot of things that were going on, and they're trying to reset and cover, maybe data dump, whatever they need to in order to avoid any type of legal action or more revealment of what they've been doing. That's my opinion. I know some people have other views, and that this was pre-planned. Yeah, they've been talking about this for a while. Maybe we are manifesting this. Maybe I don't know if shutting off all communication, if there's not actually handled properly, or if this is not reset properly, could be devastating to many of us. So be careful how you manifest and what you wish for. Make sure that you're manifesting something that is helping humanity, not putting humanity in the dust and the average person struggling, because of course the elite will figure out a way to continue to communicate, but for the average person, could potentially be a nightmare. So I know there's a few that claim that they have a plan, and I ask the universe to protect all of us from even those that are trying to do the right thing, but really don't have a plan to cover it, and putting us all in a very, very bad situation. So highest intention for humanity here. We don't really know. It feels like a very vulnerable time, but we're going to ask that we're protected always. So here's more about that article. So I'm going to just have all these articles. You can review them. Some of you probably are not looking to look into it any further. I'm going to go on to another topic. I know that I jump from topic to topic and I provide news, and maybe a little comment here and there about what I believe is going on. I've been told that, just putting out data, is not helpful to people, but I feel like these are articles maybe that you didn't research or didn't have a chance to look at, and so I'm bringing it in. Right now, it was interesting. I was talking to someone about Silicon Valley and asked what they thought was going on there. And today, the article came out how the search for the next Steve Jobs is ruining Silicon Valley. Apple's co-founder changed how we view tech. A decade after his death, we've changed how we view the tech industry too. So they're looking for someone new to come in And there's some information about, I mean, people were highly devoted to him. And still today, the iPod, the iPhone, the iPad are very influential products. And so what is going to be the outcome? Is it about finding another charismatic individual or something else that is highly AI? Which brings us to Theranos CEO Elizabeth Holmes, who was an inventor for blood in Silicon Valley, and she was definitely challenged for a product. There was a questionable things that she was doing within her company, and yeah, it didn't fully have integrity. So it's an interesting article. We always want to be a step ahead, not waiting for something to happen, but kind of knowing what's going to happen, but trying to avert it. Here's another article from The Machine. An AI god will emerge by 2042 and write its own Bible. Will you worship it? So here is an article about how AI will plan to evolve and then try to create ideas of what our belief system should be. And I guess whatever is in control, whether it's been ETs or forms of God or demons or whatever have you, or messiahs or anything, and I'm not trying to clump them all in together, but human nature does look for a God, does look for, instead of going within, they go without, and then this is where we have so much dogma and belief systems, and then those belief systems, because they're not based out of the heart and the truth, or maybe they have spun away from their origin, that it created an environment where there became wars. If you don't believe as we do, then we need to eliminate you. And so what would the AI God do? Aside from singularity and mind control, hive mind, total hive mind, and slavery. So here's an interesting article on that. I don't know if anyone heard about this activity. This is from the Stars and Stripes. The special ops troops hunkered down in California airport hangar after nighttime ninja attack. A sword-wielding man dressed in a ninja attacked several special ops soldiers who were training at a California airport, reportedly forcing them to shelter in a hangar and inflicting wounds that required stitches. The bizarre assault took place in a Neukölln airport in airfield in Mojave Desert, about 100 miles north of LA, sometime after 1 a.m. on September 17th, according to what appears to be a military incident reported shared on Instagram and Reddit. Records from the Ridgecrest Police Department seem to confirm some details on the document posted to social media and a photo late Wednesday that said 2 soldiers had to receive stitches before return to duty. After confirming that the incident described in the document leaked on social media did occur, U.S. Army Special Operations Aviation Command spokesman Major Jeff Slinker said officials did not have any further information to add. Of course, they're not going to say a whole lot about what happened and who was this guy. So here it is, the administration, the hangar, and Neukölln airfield, smoking a cigarette when an unknown person wearing full ninja garb, to include a katana sword, walked up to the SSG. The person wearing the ninja garb stated, "Do you know who I am?" The SSG replied, "No." The unknown person then asked, "Do you know where my family is?" And the SSG again stated, "No." At this point, the person in the ninja garb began to slash the SSG, and striking his phone in his knee and his leg, and he immediately began running through the parking lot, trying to evade the unknown person, jumped the fence and entered the admin building, and began to lock in the doors and called 911. The person in ninja garb was kicking and punching doors and windows, and the unknown person left and returned a few minutes later with a large block of asphalt, which he threw through the window in the admin building, striking the CPT. And the unknown person then left and was arrested. Looks like somebody got activated. Here again, it's like, do you know who I am? And very strange. A little different from the shooters, but something going on there. Of course, California has all different things still going on, and too many portals open up over there, and not good ones. Major oil spill reaches Southern California coast. And of course, you know, the beaches where people are at least finding some peace and going surfing and connecting with nature always has to get polluted by something. So, never satisfied. Carelessness. And then, of course, we're at fault because we're not aligning with a greener earth, but they keep dumping and doing things like this. Apparently they have it under control, but if it's on the beaches, it's too late, isn't it? So clean up. Here's another issue still going on: church sex abuse. Thousands of pedophiles in French church, inquiries say. So Jean-Marc Sauvé told French media that the commission had found evidence of 2,900 to 3,200 abusers out of a total of 115,000 priests and other clerics. That is a minimal estimate, he added. The commission is to release a lengthy report on Tuesday. It is based on the church, court, and police archives, as well as the interviews with victims. The inquiry was commissioned by the French Catholic Church in 2018, followed a number of scandals in other countries. That's quite a few people. Continue to pray for the children. They don't have a chance in this society. It seems like they need protection. They need a lot of protection. Here's another billionaire that killed in a plane crash in Milan along with his family. On Sunday afternoon, 8 people died, including a small child, after a plane caught on fire and crashed into the San Donato Milanese building in northern Italy. According to the DW, piloting the plane was Romanian billionaire Dan Petrescu, aboard with his wife and son and 5 other passengers. So we've had other millionaires die, fall out of the air in a plane. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. Multinationals shifted 1 trillion offshore, stripping countries of billions. This was goes back to the earlier articles that I brought up. I just put this in here, International Medical Devices Database. It's one of those kind of odd sites that people don't know about, in case that you are wondering if you have any type of medical devices and want to know if there are safety alerts or recalls or have loved ones that are using any of these devices. So here is, we will provide the link there if people want to use it. And I just want to share that. Anytime I see something that's helpful to the public, I like to share it. So the link will be on the bottom when we're finished. Here is an article from Brew Bible Former Google exec warns of apocalyptic threat. Artificial intelligence researchers are creating God. Well, we brought that up earlier, didn't we? Is that 2042, they want to bring in an AI God. If I have that date right, I'm not sure, but just another article regarding what they're doing with AI. We don't want to be naive. We want to know what's going on and set an intention, ask to have it removed from our reality. We only want the true divine creator. We don't want anything artificial because we know there's no life force and there's no love involved. So this is Sputnik International's take on what happened with Facebook. Data of over 1.5 billion Facebook users reportedly being sold on hacker forum amid worldwide outage. So they're saying that there were sales, private personal data of 1.5 billion Facebook users is reportedly being sold on a popular hacker forum. In late September, an announcement was posted on a hacker forum that claimed to have name, email, phone number, location, gender, and user ID of 1.5 billion Facebook users. One prospective buyer has allegedly been quoted at $5,000 per 1 million Facebook accounts. This would value the entire set of Facebook user data at 7.5 million. In a subsequent post, the seller alleges to have represented a larger company that works to scrape Facebook for data. The seller adds that the company has been in operation for at least 4 years and has over 18,000 clients. In one post, the seller claims we are a legit company. Web scraping is a process that uses bots to extract publicly available content and data from websites. If the seller is to be believed, it means no accounts have been compromised. However, the seller utilizing a hacking forum to garner clients does little to ease fears that the 1.5 billion Facebook users the company allegedly has data on won't suffer as a result. Dubious internet marketers and cyber criminals can now bid on these people's personal data with it as they see fit. It's not comforting, is it? Here's someone made a comment here. It says, well, here in the article, the news of 1.5 billion Facebook users' personal data being for sale comes at a particularly troubling time. It has been confirmed that Facebook and Instagram have been withdrawn from the global routing system of domain name system, or DNS. And someone said it was confirmed that the DNS records that tell systems how to find Facebook.com or Instagram.com got withdrawn this morning from the global routing tables. So someone started researching, trying to figure out what was going on. And you can do some of these minimal researches to see if there's something really wrong with the website. And so it says, can you imagine working at Facebook right now when your email no longer works and all your internal Facebook-based tools fail? Well, at the same time, Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp domain name have been listed for sale. This is all in the wake of the bombshell 60 Minutes report, and this is what I was saying earlier, where the whistleblower, Frances Haugen, claims Facebook knows that the platform spreads hate, violence, and misinformation and prioritizes that content as it generates more engagement and thus profit for the company. And this is it right here, the who is record for Facebook.com. And it says Facebook.com is for sale. The domain is listed for sale at one of our partner sites. I don't know. I mean, this is what one other person posted, and there's other comments in here. But another interesting article. Okay, and we already looked at that one. Where it counts, the U.S. leads in artificial intelligence. When it comes to advancements in artificial intelligence technology, China does have a lead in some places, like spying on its own people and using facial recognition technology to identify political dissenters. But those are the areas where the U.S. simply isn't pointing its investments in artificial intelligence, said the director of the Joint Artificial Intelligence Center, where it leads to the U.S. leads, where it counts, the U.S. leads, he says. Where it is true that the United States faces formidable technological competitors in challenging strategic environments, the reality is that the United States continues to lead in AI and its most important military applications. I don't know if I feel comforted in that. And this is from the U.S. Department of Defense. So, and they're claiming, oh yeah, well, China's military and police authorities undeniably have the world's most advanced capabilities, unregulated facial recognition for universal surveillance and control of their domestic population, trained on Chinese video gathering from their systems and the Chinese language text analysis for internet and media censorship. And they don't hide that. They don't hide that they use surveillance, and that they actually want everyone to know because of their social credit system. What the U.S. is doing, it says our constitutional privacy laws protect the rights of U.S. citizens and how their data is collected and used. We would like to know that that's true. Therefore, we simply don't invest in building such universal surveillance and censorship systems. The department does invest in systems that both enhance warfighter capability, for instance, and also help military protect and serve the United States, including during the pandemic. So, and then there's this Project Salus effort, for instance, and it's used for puts artificial intelligence to work, helping to predict shortages like water, medicine, and supplies. This product developed in the U.S. Northern Command, and it has a unique role and harmonizes across the area dealing with disaster. So, oh, this is interesting. Project Salus, named for the Roman goddess of safety and well-being, fills that role. They always like using the Greek and Roman gods and goddesses for many of these projects, because that adds power to it and adds energy to it. And you can read that article and further. Speaking of gods and goddesses, I thought this was interesting. Cruel punishment. Boris Johnson compares himself to Greek god who had his liver pecked out for giving fire to mankind in Brexit quip at the UN. For any of you that were listening to the Andronicus transmissions for years, Andronicus had identified JP as Prometheus, and we had multiple discussions about this. And now I'm seeing Boris Johnson comparing himself to Prometheus. I just find this very interesting and curious to know why and what is going on here. But so I guess the Prime Minister suffered a setback yesterday in his mission to deliver Brexit when the Supreme Court ruled his UK Parliament shutdown was unlawful. He gives a thumbs up, delivering his energetic speech on Tuesday. And he drew subtle comparisons between himself and the culture hero Prometheus, who is credited with the creation of man from clay and who defies the gods by giving fire to mortals. According to the Greek myth, intelligent Prometheus was then punished by Zeus, who chained him to a rock and sent an eagle to peck out his liver every day for eternity. It is a trope as old as literature that any scientific advance is punished by the gods, Boris told the UN General Assembly in New York. When Prometheus brought fire to mankind in a tube of fennel As you may remember, Zeus punished him by chaining him to the rock while his liver was pecked out by an eagle. And every time his liver regrew, the eagle came back and pecked it again. And it went on forever, a bit like the experience of Brexit in the UK, and some of our parliamentarians had their way. Interesting analogy. And I can understand what he's saying regarding the concept. It's like a never-ending cycle, and many of you have said, well, when is this going to end? It does feel like all of it is one step forward, two steps back, or it feels like a cycle or a treadmill or something where we feel almost as if we're not moving forward, but we are moving forward. But there's illusions to discourage and make us feel defeated. I can relate to what he's saying, but at the same time, I do sense the Titans and their persuasion and influence as the gods, the Titans, and many others from the ancients are still impacting our reality, even though it feels like we have grown far past it. So, something to consider, and still I will look into why Boris Johnson feels that he is Prometheus. Or maybe he's just making that analogy and I'm reading too much into it, right? Maybe not. Here is a news break. And of course, we knew about this farmer bill and the Great Reset. This article was beforehand revealed on March 12th in 2021 and has been up to date with new data. Unbeknown to most, Bill Gates has been shopping for up farmland throughout the U.S. by means of numerous subsidiary firms. At current, he owns about 242,000 acres of farmland, plus one other 27,000 acres of non-agricultural land. Bill Gates is the machine man, not the farm man. So definitely not Farmer Bill. Let's ask for protection from the insanity of what's going on here, and that our food source is always untainted and healthy, just as the universe provides to us from the earth, and that the earth continues to be untainted. We have to manifest this, people, because they are manifesting the opposite. So we have to be strong. And while everyone's distracted, China builds 10 new air bases along the border with India. So now they're moving throughout the east, setting up shop. Also Africa too, I believe. Smart dog tags could help soldiers monitor chaotic battlefields. This is interesting. Some of the technology is kind of cool. The people are able to tune in to what's going on, or to be able to, especially technology used for warfare. Some of that technology was probably originally meant just for us, the average person, to be able to do specific things to make our lives easier. Not everything. Not all these great ideas that are coming from the universe, different types of technology and advancements. We're here to make the experience very helpful and help us to communicate and protect ourselves. But the military usually takes it, creates it, and utilizes it specifically for something regarding warfare. And I think it eventually trickles down. But so that's why I like to bring in these type of articles, so you have an awareness of what is already out there. And speaking of military, I just want to share, this was a mysterious aircraft. This is from Newsbreak. Here again, California. With all the crazy things going on, California Skunk Works site. at Lockheed testing facility in Mojave Desert. And God, they're just opening up portals and doing all sorts of things. And take a look at this. This is pretty interesting. And this is, I believe, the end of the show. And it's worth looking at. We don't actually get to see it in flight, but interesting design, isn't it? And these are the vehicles that we're seeing in the sky on occasion. So with that, I'm just going to say thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. Remember, let's be smarter and wiser and know what's happening, being in the know, and using our intention for the highest intention for humanity, for the alternate of whatever they want to bring in. They're manifesting very strongly. We have to manifest just as strong back, neutralize the effect, shut down, delete, and uninstall all their programs, their AI that they keep on putting out there to help them do their dirty work. And let's see this world become a better place. And I believe it's possible. I believe you can all make it happen as well. Thank you and have a great day. We'll talk soon.
You have been listening to Andronetalks Radio. Join us on YouTube channel Jessica Arael Morocco and visit her website at www.readingsbyarael.com.